A study of the Sankhya philosophy, part 1. Prakriti is called by the Sankhya philosophers indiscrete and defined as the perfect balance of the materials in it. And it naturally follows that in perfect balance there cannot be any motion. In the primal state before any manifestation, when there was no motion but perfect balance, this Prakriti was indestructible because decompensation or death comes from instability or change. Again, according to the Sankhya, atoms are not the primal state. The universe does not come out of atoms. They may be the secondary or the tertiary state. The primordial materials may form into atoms and become grosser and bigger things, and as far as modern investigations go, they rather point towards the same conclusion. For instance, in the modern theory of ether, if you say ether is atomic, it will not solve anything. To make it clearer, say the air is composed of atoms, and we know that ether is everywhere, interpenetrating, omnipresent, and that these air atoms are floating as it were in ether. If ether again be composed of atoms, there will still be spaces between every two atoms of ether. What fills these up? If you suppose that there is another ether still finer which does this, then will another be other spaces between the atoms of that finer ether which require filling up, and so it will be resus ad infinitum, what the Shankar philosophers call the cause leading to nothing. So the atomic theory cannot be final. According to Sankhya, nature is omnipresent, one omnipresent mass of nature in which are the causes of everything that exists. What is meant by cause? Cause is the fine state of the manifested state, the unmanifested state of that which becomes manifested. What do you mean by destruction? It is reverting to the cause. If you have a piece of pottery and give it a blow, it will be destroyed. What is meant by this is that the effects go back to their own nature. The materials out of which the pottery was created go back into their original state. Beyond this idea of destruction, any idea such as annihilation is on the face of it absurd. According to modern physical science, it can be demonstrated that all destruction means that which Kapila said ages ago, simply reverting to the cause. Going back to the finer forms is all that is meant by destruction. You know how it can be demonstrated in a laboratory that matter is indestructible. At this present stage of our knowledge, if any man stands up and says that matter or this soul becomes annihilated, he is only making himself ridiculous. It is only uneducated, silly people who would advance such a proposition. And it is curious that modern knowledge coincides with what these old philosophers taught. It must be so that that is the proof of truth. They proceeded in their inquiry, taking up mind as the basis. They analyzed the mental part of this universe and came to certain conclusions, which we, analyzing the physical part, must come to, for they both lead to the same center. We must remember that the first manifestation of this Prakriti in the cosmos is what the Sankhya call Mahat. We may call it intelligence, the great principle, its literal meaning. The first change in Prakriti is this intelligence. I would not translate it by self consciousness because that would be wrong. Consciousness is only a part of this intelligence. Mahat is universal. It covers all the grounds of subconsciousness, consciousness, and superconsciousness. So, any one state of consciousness as applied to this Mahat would not be sufficient. In nature, for instance, you note certain changes going on before your eyes which you see and understand. But there are other changes so much finer that no human perception can catch them. They are from the same cause. The same Mahat is making these changes. Out of Mahat comes universal egoism. These are all substance. There is no difference between matter and mind except in degree. The substance is the same in finer and grosser form. One changes into the other, and this exactly coincides with the conclusions of modern physiological research. By believing in the teaching that mind is not separate from the brain, you will be saved from much fighting and struggling. Egoism again changes into two varieties. In one variety, it changes into the organs. Organs are of two kinds, organs of sensation and organs of reaction. They are not the eyes or the ears, but back of those that are what you call brain centers and nerve centers and so on. This egoism, this matter or substance becomes changed, and out of this material are manufactured these centers. Of the same substance is manufactured the other variety, the tanmatras, fine particles of matter, which strike our organs of perception and bring about sensations. You cannot perceive them but only know that they are there. Out of the tanmatras is manufactured the gross matter, earth, water, and all the things that we see and feel. I want to impress this on your mind. It is very hard to grasp it because in Western countries the ideas are so queer about mind and matter. It is hard to get those impressions out of our brains. I myself had a tremendous difficulty being educated in Western philosophy in my boyhood. These are all cosmic things.